Hi, I'm Erin. Today I just wanted to sit down and talk to you about the couple of books that I want to read for the 2022 Asian Readathon hosted by Cindy from Read with Cindy, or I think she's rebranded now to just With Cindy. I've been a lurker on Bookstagram and BookTube for a couple of years now, but I've never really felt compelled to participate in a readathon. But this one, when I saw Cindy's announcement video for this year, I actually got super excited. I planned out a TBR and everything, which I rarely do. So I just thought I'd come on here and share my TBR with you all. The readathon is going to span the entire month of May, and there's 5 prompts or challenges in total. Right now I'm thinking I'll read a book for each prompt, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's really easy to apply multiple prompts to a single book, but we're gonna start off ambitious, we're gonna start off strong, and so here we go. The first prompt is read a book written by an Asian author. So this is the most broad, most general prompt. Wow, these birds are going off. The book I chose for this prompt is Beauty is a Wound by Kurniawan. Eka is an Indonesian author, and let me just read you a snippet from the synopsis. Okay, the first line from the book. One afternoon on a weekend in May, Dewi Ayu rose from her grave after being dead for 21 years. ... Drawing on local sources, folktales, and the all-night shadow puppet plays with their body, wit, and epic scope, Kurniawan's distinctive voice brings something luscious yet astringent to contemporary literature. There are some content warnings for this book. I'm on Storygraph right now, and I see some user-submitted content warnings, so be sure to look at those before you decide to start reading this book. For me, this book has been on my TBR for almost a year now at this point, so I'm really excited to pick it up. I really want to learn more about Indonesian history. The second prompt is read a book featuring an Asian character who is a woman and or older, and the book that I've chosen for this prompt is No Land to Light On by Yara, Zgheib. I tried to find a video where the author would pronounce her own name, but I couldn't find anything, but let me know if that pronunciation is wrong. Yara is a Lebanese author, and this book is about Hadi and Sama, who are a young Syrian couple that I've met and are living in Boston. When Sama is 5 months pregnant, Hadi's father dies suddenly in Jordan. Hadi flies back to Jordan for the funeral, promising his wife that he'll only be gone for a few days. But on the day that his flight is due to arrive in Boston, Sama is waiting for him, but as the minutes and then hours pass, she continues to wait, unaware that Hadi has been stopped at the border and detained for questioning, trapped in a timeless, nightmarish limbo. The third prompt is read a book by an Asian author that has a universe you would want to experience or a universe that is totally different from yours. And I've chosen The Black Tides of Heaven by Neon Yang, and I believe Neon is a Singaporean writer. Yes, so this book is about twin siblings. One of them has the gift of prophecy, and the other one could see the strings that moved adults to action. So while the girl, the sister, received visions of what would be, the boy realized what could be. That sounds interesting. The fourth prompt, read a book by an Asian author that has a cover worthy of googly eyes. So a cover that looks really nice. I think I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to book covers, but for this one I picked The 30 Names of Night, which has this bird wing on the cover, at least the cover that I'm looking at, which could be creepy, but I'm just fascinated by all the details and the feathers, and I don't know if this is an illustration or a photograph, I can't really tell, but this is a book cover that if I saw this in a bookstore, I would at least read the synopsis on the back, you know? Sorry, I forgot to mention, this book is by Zeyn, Joukhadar, and he is a Syrian author. 5 years after a suspicious fire killed his ornithologist mother, a closeted Syrian-American trans boy sheds his birth name and searches for a new one. As his grandmother's sole caretaker, he spends his days cooped up in their apartment, avoiding his neighborhood masjid, his estranged sister, and even his best friend, who also happens to be his longtime crush. The only time he feels truly free is when he slips out at night to paint murals on buildings in the once thriving Manhattan neighborhood known as Little Syria. But he's been struggling ever since his mother's ghost begins visiting him each night. One night he enters the abandoned community house and finds the tattered journal of a Syrian-American artist named Layla Z, who dedicated her career to painting birds. She mysteriously disappeared more than 60 years before, but her journal contains proof that both his mother and Layla Z encountered the same rare birds before their deaths. In fact, Layla Z's past is intimately tied to his mother's in ways he could have never expected. Even more surprising, Layla Z's story reveals the histories of queer and transgender people within his own community that he never knew. Realizing that he isn't and has never been alone, he has the courage to claim a new name, Nadir, an Arabic name meaning rare. Super random, but I love birds. I love birds. Growing up, I've always loved birds. I love looking at birds. It's kind of a goal of mine to go bird watching at some point in my life. I know it sounds kind of boring, but I feel like it could be fun. Anyways, yeah, I really like birds, and I don't think I've ever read a book centered around birds, so this will be a really cool experience. Okay, the last prompt is read a book by an Asian author that has a high rating or was highly recommended by someone. For this one, I've chosen Wild Swans by Chang. I have this book. It's actually right here. I don't want to pull it out because I have to do a lot of rearranging to do that. Wild Swans is a nonfiction, and it's about the story of 3 generations in 20th century China. It's kind of a memoir. I think it's written by the 3rd generation individual, so the granddaughter. This is an engrossing record of Mao's impact on China, an unusual window on the female experience in the modern world, and an inspiring tale of courage and love. Chang describes the extraordinary lives and experiences of her family members, her grandmother, who was a warlord's concubine, her mother's struggles as a young idealistic communist, and her parents' experience as members of the communist elite and their ordeal during the Cultural Revolution. Chang herself was briefly a Red Guard at the age of 14, then worked as a peasant, a barefoot doctor, a steel worker, and an electrician. This book has a super high rating on Goodreads, and it's been recommended to me by a bunch of different sources in my life, so yeah, it's time to read it. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I hope this was interesting, and now that I've exposed to you my desire to participate in this readathon and all the specific books I have planned, I feel like I need to follow through. If I'm successful, this will be my first readathon ever completed. So we'll see how this goes. I have high hopes for myself, high expectations for myself, and I'm really excited. So, bye!